Okay, so in part one, we talked about the host file and how it overrides DNS settings, and I kind of showed you how, like, we got, in fact, if we go here, my google.com still doesn't work because I haven't reset anything. It says it's insecure on Firefox, and on Internet Explorer, it navigates me to in like a not functioning version of Mental Floss. Okay, so um, let's go ahead and fix this first. So we're going to go to Computer, go to the C drive, go to Windows, go to System 32, go to Drivers, go to the etc folder, double click on host. Let's modify this with Notepad. We can just delete that one line that we created, close out of this, save, and now Google will work. Okay, so now that we got Google working, um, obviously accessing this host file is kind of tedious. And if you were somebody malicious, you wouldn't like, hey, can you open this up and do this for me? No, you'd write like a program that did everything for you. Okay, so right now I have Google working, but we're going to make it so Google doesn't work again, but we're going to write a batch script. So in order to do that, I'm just going to go on my desktop and I'm going to create a new text document, and I'm going to call this awesome, and then I'm going to that .txt, I'm going to actually delete .txt, and I'm going to call it bat. So this is called awesome.bat, awesome.bat. Yes, I want to change it. That's fine. We can tell it's a bat file now because it has that little gear in it. Again, in the virus section or the virus unit, we worked with batch files, and then we made it a executable, and we actually made it a Trojan. We're not going to go through all those steps, but I just want to make a quick bat file that will modify the host file. So when somebody executes this, it will modify that for us. So I'm going to right click on this and edit it. And hold on one second. I'm going to type all this in really quick, and then I'll share the screen with you. Okay, so this is the bat file that I created, and in fact, let me increase the size here so it's a little bit easier for you to read. Okay, let's see. Okay, so we got echo off, first line, okay, and then we're going to echo 127.0.0.1 space bing.com, and then this is going to write to the Windows directory, System 32 drivers, etc. So basically, this is adding a line to the bottom of this file, this host file right here. This is adding a line to the bottom of that file that says this right here. So rather than affecting google.com this time, we're going to affect Bing and Yahoo. Okay, so both Bing.com and Yahoo.com, rather than going to their actual addresses, we're going to have them go to, this is called a loopback address. Okay, 127.0.0.1, that's a loopback address. That just means go back to your computer, so it'll just, in essence, makes the websites not work. Okay, so we got this. I'm going to go File, Save, and you'll notice first time we run this, it's not going to work. That's intentional, but it's okay. I'll show you what happens. So we got awesome.bat. I double click on it to try to run it, and let's see if it did anything. Well, I guess we could look at the host file, or we could just go to like yahoo.com. It says unable to load. And bing.com also unable to load. Google.com, however, loads just fine, and like other websites will load just fine. So if we take a look at our computer, go to our C drive, Windows, System 32, drivers, etc. We can look at this host file, and we can see at the bottom here that both of those lines were added. Now, for me, this worked on the first try. I was actually a little bit surprised that it worked for the first try. In the past, when I've done this, rather than just double clicking on the file, I've had to right click on it and run it as an administrator. And once I've run it as an administrator, then it's worked. But for some reason, it worked just fine the first time I wrote it. So anyway, now we have written a program that modifies the host files and basically makes Yahoo and Bing stop working. So now, like, yahoo.com doesn't work. And we could have, again, typed in an IP address of another website and had yahoo.com forward to another address. But as we saw, modern browsers have picked up on this and said, hey, your connection isn't secure. It looks like somebody's trying, it looks like you're going to yahoo.com, but you're actually your computer's telling me to go to a different IP address. Something's not quite right. So modern browsers kind of detect that. Modern browsers still say like if you just use a loopback address, it just says unable to connect. But if we plugged in an IP address, modern browser would do that. Let's take a look at what would happen on a Windows 10 machine if we did something similar to this. Okay, so Windows 7, as we saw out of the box, didn't really have any protections against modifying this host file. We saw that we could easily access the file and edit it. We needed administrative rights, but basically everybody that's logged into Windows 7 has administrative rights, unless you're part of the domain. Most home users don't lock themselves down at all. And then we saw that like older browsers that come with Windows 7, like Internet Explorer, they don't have any protections in them to prevent that. So let's take a look at Windows 10 and see how that is different. Okay, so we got Windows 10 all loaded up here. The BAT file, let me go ahead and let's go to open up the File Explorer, go to this PC, C drive, Windows, System 32, drivers, etc. Still have our host file there. Okay, I can double click on that file and open it up in Notepad. We can still see this file right here. Okay, but let's try that BAT file that we previously created and see what happens here. So again, I'm going to create a new text document. I'm going to call this awesome.bat. Give Windows 10 a second. While this is doing that, I'm actually going to edit, and I'm going to pull this up right over here so I can see what I need to type. Okay. We need to, by the way, on Windows 10, I need to go to File, change folder and search options, go to View, and then this hide extensions for known file types. I need to uncheck that, click Apply and OK, and then rename this and delete the .txt at the end, so it's just awesome.bat, and then it changes to a bat file. Okay, so I'm going to edit this, and I'm going to type in the same thing that's over here. I'm going to pause the video while I do that really quick. Okay, so it looks like I typed in the same thing here. I'm just going to double check it, at echo off, echo 127.0.0.1 space bing.com. Greater than space Windows directory / system32 with capital S / drivers / etc / hosts, and then I got the Yahoo one there too. Okay, so I'm going to save this. Okay, now first, the only browser that we have installed on here right now is Internet Explorer, but it's the new Internet Explorer Edge. Okay, so super fast, right? Alright, we'll see. So currently, if I go to bing.com, it works fine. If I go to Yahoo, .com also works fine. So now let's see if I run that bat file. Let's close all tabs. What'll happen? So I got my awesome.bat. I'm going to double click on it right there. Okay, looks like it ran. I'm going to open up Internet Explorer again. Type in yahoo.com. Still works. Going to type in bing.com. Still works. Alright, so I wonder if that file got modified at all. Well, let's go ahead and see. We'll go to this PC, go to the C drive, Windows, System32, drivers, etc, hosts. Let's go ahead and open this one up with Notepad. Okay, so it hasn't been modified yet. Okay, so it looks like these bat files, it looks like, so in Windows 7, it worked fine modifying that bat file. But here in Windows 10, not working fine. So I actually haven't tried this yet. Potentially running this as an administrator would work. Let's right click on it and run it as an administrator. And let's see if that worked. I open up Internet Explorer. And I go to yahoo.com. And now it's not working. So that's the difference between Windows 7 and Windows 10. In Windows 7, we just ran that batch script and it worked fine. Both Bing and Yahoo were not accessible. But in Windows 10, when we ran the batch script right off the bat, it didn't work. So a program would have to have administrative rights in order to modify the host file in Windows 10. Even still, modern browsers these days kind of detect if the host file has been modified significantly, and you can use it to block websites. But in terms of routing, Google.com to another website address, this really isn't the way that people do it anymore. We'll talk about how they do it in part 3.